Okay, welcome to the Curry County Board of Commissioners Workshop, Wednesday, June 7th, 2023. It's 2 o'clock, and the agenda has been set, call to order. Please stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For y'all. Okay, it's pretty simple. Number 2 is Curry County Road Department operations. Handoff.
Yeah, basically what I was looking for here was so that we could, I'd like to have the representatives of the road department describe to you guys what they do and what they came, I see they got a mission statement, basically their core mission right there, and then I asked them to provide their task list and work through it so that they can describe the things that the road department does on a regular basis outside of special projects and so forth, so you can, and of course the projects that they also schedule every year that are fundamentally part of what the maintenance includes paving and chip sealing and other culvert repairs and maintenance and that sort of thing. So, I'm not sure how you guys want to proceed.
Well, we have some literature to pass out with our annual work plan.
Okay?
We have some more being delivered as we speak.
Oh, so we just got one right now?
They had a bunch made up on the table. Here's
Yeah, I
some.
should go make some copies. So as you notice with the road department, I mean, they've got stuff going all the time. And so and as evidenced this last year, it's not like they were short of stuff to do. You know, I mean, stuff that they didn't plan for either. So and I think when you're talking about the road department and its mission, you have to build in some how do I, like, expansion capabilities, because things are going to happen. It's going to snow. It's going to do something that you never did before. It's always going to be something. And, but in looking at that, when you look at the tasks that they do perform, maybe there's a way we can look at some of those and we can reimagine, maybe some of those things can be contracted out depending on the nature of them. Also, it'd be interesting I kind of want the history of some of the tasks that they do. Like, for example, the spraying the ditches and all that stuff. Thank you. I just like to hear how they, how you, because you can't do all the ditches every year. I mean, or maybe you can. I don't know. I'd like to hear about it.
Rotation.
No, we do them on a rotational basis. We can't get to them all every year.
Right.
Other things that have to be done also.
Amongst all the unforeseen disasters that come up.
And Gary, this isn't the same plan every year, or is it?
Yes.
Pretty much?
Yes, this is the basic plan. We try to
Okay.
stick to it, and of course, there's variances, fairly often if we run into other
Sure.
issues.
Okay.
And a lot of them are seasonal, depending on the rain, correct?
Yes, in the wintertime, it really varies because of storms and storm damage.
So it's June. What is cold milling?
That is grinding,
Okay.
so we'll grind a lot of the sinks anymore,
Okay.
rather than throwing asphalt at them, which
Gotcha.
is a lot more expensive.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Tidewater pays us for that, do they not?
Yes, we also recycle it and we will do a swap for.
Yeah. Because when they make asphalt, they can use a percentage of that,
Wrap.
not all of it, right? Yeah. Gotcha.
So if we start, let's go through here with the, so we're talking about in January, we see mechanical culvert cleaning. Can you describe that? It's listed in January, but is it a maintenance item or is it just as needed?
It's as needed.
It's because it's January.
Right.
Yeah, okay, I got it, okay.
It's pretty much every month.
Right. Yeah, it is pretty, it is every
Yeah.
month. Well, except for July.
Well, then that is something fairly new.
Why?
Well, that's, now that we have that big machine,
Oh, I see. Okay, so the mechanical cover cleaning is okay, that's the,
the vac
Vector
unit,
truck.
back truck, okay.
for the most part. It could also involve an excavator or backhoe.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, this is the whole shooting match here.
So maybe if you want to go through, like Exhibit A here in your packet, capital asset policy, can you explain that?
That was, given out by the finance office for our guideline and what goes under capital outlays.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Jay Troyce had some questions at a previous meeting, so we thought that would be helpful.
We weren't sure what to bring, so we thought we'd try to figure out what would
Perfect.
be helpful to you.
Yeah.
And the highlighted areas are what we were told should fit under capital outlays. We have to divide up where the monies are gonna be spent from. They become part of the asset.
Right.
Can I ask where you got this?
That was created online years ago with the, I believe it was the APWA, American,
So this is average,
yes,
right?
yes.
Okay. Because it, our, asphalt is really dependent upon, lifespan is dependent upon your climate and circumstances,
It is,
right?
definitely, yes.
Yeah.
And I only know because I had to run the airport for so long, and that runway asphalt was always, but they loved us because they were like, you're temperate, and so you don't have the high-end contracting and expanding from the high and low temperature extremes. So our runway lifespan was significantly longer than, say, Bend,
Right.
or Hardy County, because of the extreme hot.
And the traffic volume and type of traffic.
Correct. Sure.
Weight, yeah, is huge.
But
And we have and you were telling me the other day about one of the things that we had in the budget projection was the proposed they were gonna resurface or repave, I think 7 miles or however,
3 miles.
3 miles, and it was gonna be roughly.
$946,000.
But so anyway, the way I asked what the how long. I said we need to, obviously, if something needs to be repaved, then let's repave it, and we'll do that. But what's the lifespan of this? Is there another way? And they said, well, if with that particular set of roads, they think that with chip seal, you get another 7 years out of it before you had to repave. And so, chip seal is like roughly a quarter of the price, something like that.
Yes.
So, I think those are, as we look at how the road department goes forward, I just, so how would you determine that you were gonna repave that? I mean, is there some kind of an index or something that you used?
Yes, and also the history, the maintenance history,
Mm-hmm.
when the last pavement treatment was and how old the pavement is.
Okay,
Gary, what, 3 miles, where are we at, where are we talking, do you know?
These are roads in the Port Orford area, Stone Cipher Road,
Okay.
Paradise Point, Arizona Street, Hensley Hill,
Knapp Road.
Knapp Road.
Okay. So little short roads, cause like Stone
For the most
Cipher
part, yeah.
is very short before it hits the gravel.
Right.
And not a lot of people, so I think chip sealing is
I would think that in our current fiscal environment, and I mean, this isn't, I kind of feel like what we were talking about the other day, that you've got two cliffs, you know, everybody's been concerned about the road department running out of money. That's not gonna happen before the county runs out of money. So if the road department takes, you know, a different fiscal look at how what their priorities are, that's gonna run a lot longer. And in fact, if you look at the expenditures that we've made out of the road department last couple of years, been a whole lot in engineering. I mean, a whole lot in engineering on projects that in many cases don't make a lot of sense to be making priorities. And also, we've been buying a lot of new equipment. And a lot of that stuff we need, some of it we don't. When we look at this and we see that one of the, you know, we've got a new monthly activity, which is mechanical culvert cleaning. You know, in this country, that's, I don't know how often I'd use one of those for cleaning out culverts. I think a properly maintained culvert doesn't need to get cleaned out unless it's built wrong. And then if it's built wrong, then you probably need to fix it.
Well, yeah, I was gonna actually ask on that, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So, I'm pretty familiar with dump truck. And I know the primary purposes in a city setting would be, to dig primary holes for utility, so you're not, you know, hitting lines all the time. And then what would be normally utilized, it seems to be for, storm drains, et cetera, would be jet flushing.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering why we didn't go jet flushing when we're looking at mechanical culvert cleaning.
Well, it actually has a jet rotor on it,
Sure.
so that's what gets used with.
That
the culvert.
usually precedes your vac part.
Yeah, we run those through the culvert and back at the same time.
Yeah. But if you were doing it properly, I guess in the past, if you were jet flushing, you would jet flush it through the end of the culvert, right?
Yes,
You would just push it out
right,
instead of vac it in,
right,
which still could be achieved.
right. We had a smaller vac unit and jet rotor trailer mounted units in the past.
Okay. It just seems like an extra step to basically collect the material, then dump the material, then the maintenance of that process seems to be, I guess, a little extra.
Right,
But-
and also it depends on the location. If you're in the port, Brookings, you gotta be really careful where that material goes.
Oh, sure.
You gotta
For
collect it.
example.
Except
Other
the
locations.
remedy for that is just work with the port.
Right.
Then you don't, I mean, you just, that's easily, the port can set up silt, you know, silt guards and all that stuff, and all you get, and you look at the expenditure of that as opposed to maintaining and vac, you know, your point is well taken. If you're sucking up sediment, then you gotta go deal with the sediment. Where do you put it? And it becomes this thing you can't
Right.
dispose of.
It's a lot of,
So,
and a lot of, you know, there's a lot of maintenance in that piece too, but, cause I'm assuming in the past, we would manage those silt retentions at the port with a mini or a backhoe. We would pull out the silt, dump it in a dump truck and haul it off.
that's the one with the big trap, the
Right.
tuttle, the subtle.
Right, yeah, that, I mean, that's what I'm assuming is is how that was cleaned in the past.
With an
prior.
excavator, and we
Yeah,
still do it that
okay.
way.
So you had a little mini X or a regular excavator, and you just did it that way?
Yeah.
The wheeled
Dump truck
excavator.
and-
Rubber tired
Yeah.
excavator.
Well, there's a lot of less things to go wrong mechanically when you're just doing it that way as opposed to, I mean, yeah, so. But I guess one of the things I'd like to hear, just to kind of kick it off, is, you know, from you guys is, what do you see the true vision? What do you see the primary purpose of the road department being? You know, like this is our primary purpose. These are some of our secondary purposes. These are the services that we feel are critical that we provide to ensure that our roads are maintained.
Everything on this list.
Okay.
Those are the core
Yes,
duties.
these are definitely the, the
These are
baseline.
Yeah. So, and we're you know I no I appreciate that because I think that having that vision is one of the first key pieces. Is knowing like, you know, this is because for the public I think it's good to know also this is what your road department provides. It's it's unseen, right? You're not going to see a lot of things, and that's the whole point. Is if you don't, that's a great thing, right? That's the home run. And so a lot of time, I think it needs to be put out there as well. That these are the things that are the critical junctures of the road department and what they provide the citizen of Curry. So, you know, yeah. So that's the vision. This is these services you have on the paper are the critical priority pieces of the road department.
Yes, they are.
So let's talk about, let's go through some of these things. So mowing and mechanical brush cutting. What's your crew requirement and what equipment do you use in that?
We have 2 roadside mowers
Uh-huh.
for that. So, and as far as
You run them in tandem, don't you?
run them in
Yeah.
tandem, and so that's usually a 4-person crew with flaggers. But
Okay.
we also, on one of our rubber tired excavators, we have a mulching head
Okay.
that can take care of high things and bigger things.
Yeah, those machines are beautiful,
Mm,
by the way.
they are there.
Actually, they work well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the 4 or perhaps 5, but you're gonna, you know, so, okay, all right.
And just so everybody knows, you know, it seems probably to a lot of us, it seems, I mean, I did brush cutting yesterday, so, with my Mini X, so I understand the purpose of brush cutting, but can you explain why that's so vital to the roads and road maintenance?
Yes, a lot of it is sight distance issues.
Mhm.
And we also want to keep that brush back so it doesn't proceed growing out in the road. Become a hazard in the future.
Yeah, it's a lot more than just having pretty road sides.
Right.
Yes, there's a lot more purpose to it.
Give it a couple of years and it'll just be tunnels.
You let it.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so then if we go on to pull and roll shoulders, what equipment do you use for that, and and that's, do you is that the stuff that you pull gravel from your existing resources, or do you buy separate for that?
We'll use our existing rock for that.
Okay,
But that consists of a grader, a roller, usually.
And that's just to keep the pavement going over to the bar ditch, pretty level, right?
Right, the shoulders, yeah. So that'll be like 1 inch minus.
mm-hmm,
Remove the, sod and such if it's a road. There's a lot of roads that we don't spray.
yeah,
And so those are the worst ones. We really have to pull a roll.
if they don't spray, you gotta go in and dig all that stuff
It's a
up and
lot
then
more
put new
maintenance.
stuff, okay. Interesting, okay. Good to know. And so same thing, you got 2 flaggers, you got, you'd have grader operator, roller.
2 to 3 trucks hauling rock at times.
Okay. Somebody loading back at the yard.
Usually it'll be the drivers loading themselves.
Oh, okay. That's nice. Okay, so then, signage, is that just maintaining all your signs?
It is.
Yeah,
The road signs that need to be replaced that are faded or damaged. And we do that throughout the year, actually.
Yeah.
As needed.
Yes.
Do you still have the contract with the juvenile department to clean them?
No. That's been-
with the what department?
We used to have a contract with the road department, and we would use our community service kids to go wash the signs,
Oh,
clean the signs off. So,
We don't have the litter patrol anymore either that we had when you were here.
okay.
But we do have a litter patrol. They just, what did they do extra for you guys for the?
Well, they're doing ODOT now.
Okay,
They got an
yeah.
ODOT contract to do the 101.
Oh, instead of, we used them on the county roads?
Yeah.
To, was it 9,500, 9,000
was-
transfer?
I want to say it was like 10 and 5, something like that. It was 10 for litter patrol. I think it was something like 5 for sign. For
Yeah.
sign cleaning, something in that. It was
And
close.
we just transfer it to your.
Mhm. Yeah.
With the code enforcement dissolving, it
It hasn't dissolved.
hasn't? Okay,
It's right now. It's just it's
on hold?
It's
in
on.
transition.
Okay, so as we get these calls, we've been saying them to Ted, can the juvenile people be the ones that go in, we're getting, hey, there's a lot of debris alongside the road? Who's gonna be handling that?
Well, like, for example, the calls we got today on the north bank and the south bank, how do we do? Somebody's gotta take action.
Can we bring that back, that county road, litter crew, like you had at one time, it sounds like?
Well, a lot of it's more than that. There's a lot of hazardous stuff out there anymore. You gotta
Yeah, that's what we were talking about this morning too.
Yeah.
Hazardous waste that falls out of those things. We
So do
actually,
you prefer to do it with you prefer to pick it up mechanically?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, well, I
Prefer
don't
not to
blame you.
touch it.
And a lot of it needs to be picked up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I
'Cause
mean.
You need to put it in a dump truck
Right.
because it's more than just a truck bed. But to answer your question, I think the thing that would prevent it to be just as like a juvenile thing or whatever would be the fact that their community service crews are so inconsistent, right? So you can't count on them having one at any one time, depending on who's in their pool. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, sure.
So it makes it a little bit difficult. That's why when we had something that was year-round, we could say, okay, we're going to go hit this, for the next 2 weekends, because we know we have X. So it was a little different because it was a plan.
We didn't have you on a time schedule.
Right.
We just left.
It
left
wasn't.
up to you.
Yeah. It wasn't as needed. It was as available.
If
I
we
just
had a
was-
crew of people that was already infected with hepatitis C,
Oh,
it'd be perfect.
so this particular day and this particular instance, that was the public's second call.
Right.
And we're just wanting to know what direction we should send them to.
Well, send them to us and then we'll discuss it and then we'll task you. I mean, I don't see any other way to do it because they're gonna be doing it. Because we can't be having people out there. I was kidding about the hepatitis C crew. We can't, we're gonna have to go out there and pick it up mechanically. And there, and we have we're getting a lot of complaints from down south right now. So I was gonna go out and take a look at that tomorrow myself.
We took care of that today.
On the north bank or south bank?
There.
Cool.
Whereabouts, Gare?
That was up by Alsop's Pit.
Okay.
there at Dayton.
Are you?
But somebody from the public had bagged it all up and everything, so.
They might-
Oh, I heard that it was in bags and then it disappeared. I thought it might have been
Good
you. That's
Samaritan.
great. What?
Good Samaritan.
I think
Okay,
I know
great.
who it was.
Yeah.
Can you, if you're not, documenting this with pictures and then also price tags of the dump fees.
Yeah, we'd like to keep track of all that.
We need to keep track of that, because, you know, this is not this is a growing expense that isn't going away. And it's something that we've always just kind of done, but never really budgeted for, if you will. And so, it would be nice to have time, materials, pictures, and cost,
We can do that.
We have that.
so
yep.
that we can start collecting that information.
We already have a PR in place for that kind of thing.
Perfect.
so.
Because it's been nice that the road department that's been, you know, exploitable to, you know, I mean, you guys have been cleaning up everybody else's mess, and it would be nice to follow that back to its source and figure out how to, because we can't, why are we doing it, you know?
Well, and, you know, wait until the point when the piece of equipment we're asking for is a tow truck, because the tow companies don't have any space to move any more stuff into their lots.
Yeah,
You know, that's right around the corner.
I know South Coast has dealt with this for years. You could find stuff with addresses and mail and can't prosecute. Ted, you know that, right? That, and
Yeah.
if you got
what I'd like to do is.
figure out a way to do
At
it.
least at the port, when people were dumping there, it wasn't homeless people doing it, it was people dumping them. I would go through it, and then I would deliver it to their house with some cops. And
I think
they
you
tended
forgot
to
this.
not repeat.
And
I
are
know.
we gonna just absorb those costs?
No, we'd like to know what those are so that we can then so that we can start following up, and we'd like to keep, if we can develop a strategy so we can find out who's doing the dumping, or at least what category where it's evolving from. You know, if it's somebody that's just randomly dumping, then I'd like to catch those people. But if it's you know, whatever they call them, metropolitan campers or whatever it is, then I want to know that that's where that's coming from, so that we can seek assistance from agencies that support that kind of activity.
Well-
Because we don't.
The other piece of it is in the potential chance that we actually catch some of these people, which it's against the law, right? So we potentially catch some of these people, then we have documented information, costs that then we go to court with, that is substantially more than just a litter fine. Because that's, you know, that's what it's gonna take. You know, so if we're already out there doing it, we might as well document it and be ready to pull that file if needed,
Cheered.
when, you know, that good Samaritan actually gets a license plate, you know?
Backtrack it from there.
And we can go there, you know?
So financially wise, though, we're not gonna book it back to code enforcement at the end of the month.
No.
Just
Is that
like
that's what you have been doing?
Some of the bigger things. Isn't it code enforcements that,
I haven't done any journals for code enforcement.
wasn't there some in the
Yes.
past year that we
Yes.
did that too?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
code
some
enforcement
of the-
reports it, and then we book it back to that?
If it's something where it
There
takes
were
the crew.
a couple events that we did that.
Like RV removals or
There
something.
was a big cleanup there at the end of South Bank at Chetco,
Mhm.
the underpass.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh,
man,
that giant, that.
that was big.
Yeah. That was,
The reason that started is because years ago, we were told to document any time and equipment that was not road department business. So that's how that began years ago. We've just always carried it on because we haven't been directed to otherwise.
got it.
Okay.
Well, I think for right now, just keep account of
We
those
could-
costs, yeah.
we could-
Well, and then, for example, that place right there, that was on public property, right? So,
And
that was on
it was on
county property.
County property.
County, 'cause
We have to clean it up.
South Bank side.
I don't think it would be appropriate to bill code enforcement for it, but I mean, but we definitely want to follow up and say, this is what,
This is what it
you know,
costs the city.
unopposed littering is costing the road department.
Citizens,
Yeah.
yeah,
Ultimately, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right, let's see. Snow and ice removal. Let's talk about where we are, and I want you guys to fill us in on the new equipment and so forth. We got one new truck that we've got. Has it been delivered yet? The sander and the
That
plow?
should be here any day, within the next 2 weeks. It'll
So that's gonna be a replacement dump truck for one of the ones that we had. And we have three right now.
three
but
of the one ton.
Three of the big, didn't we have three full-on plows?
We do, one on the 5 yard, which is the one that was broke down
Okay.
last year, which is the spray truck also.
Okay.
And then we have two on 10 yards.
And what shape are those two in?
The trucks, I believe, are 2014, 2015.
Okay,
They're not
so
bad.
not bad, okay.
But the plows that we've had since I started there, it's
1957?
so,
No.
yeah.
Okay, so we're
You
probably
look
looking
good,
for some
Gary.
new plows, except you can't, I mean, well, you just run them till they're, that must be a maintenance nightmare, I would imagine. So you can probably get, in a situation like this, you're probably gonna get a lot more done if you got one that's, you got maybe less that are that are actually, you have less trucks, but more that are dependable, cause it seems like when we were in the snow event, we had almost nothing regarding those trucks when we needed them. We had the grader, but when it came time to something run, nothing was running.
We had two down at one point.
Yeah. So, and I don't know what the feasibility is of putting a new plow on a 2014, if it makes sense to do that. But I guess we just have to look at them and see what shape, but maybe, well, that would be an interesting thing to see what the maintenance requirements are.
They're a standard mount.
Are they?
Yes, so it's kind of an ODOT standard mount. And so a new truck can be, purchased with that same mount to fit that plow.
Okay,
That's what we've done for a lot of years now.
but it sounds like we just need new plows for the trucks.
They're due,
Yeah, okay.
but they're still working.
Yep. Also, you have the grader that you use on some of the issues that we've had with snow, and a lot of the snow removal is not on county roads per se, but it's on, we also have the duty to get up to Bosley Butte and Grizzly Mountain and where else? Okay. So we gotta be able to get up there, and we gotta be able to do that with equipment. And, we have an old D6 that needs basically a new undercarriage to be able to, and I mean, I think you could pretty much, that machine will keep working, and you could put a new undercarriage on it, and we've talked about it. I don't know, do you know, has Bob ordered the parts for that?
I do not know. Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Well, if you could, let's get it going. Let's get
Yeah,
it
'cause
fixed,
we need
finals
it
and,
before winter, cause
Yep.
that's when you need it. And I mean, it's a good cat, it's an old cat, but it's got a lot of, they don't go away.
they'll go forever if you
Right,
take care of them.
Right, and that is a well-maintained machine. It's, it's the running gears is in good shape. But the undercarriage is worn out, cause it was built in 1976.
And this would be something Bob and Chuck can,
Yeah, you just
Re-
buy that, you can
revamp.
buy aftermarket parts, and then you put new grousers on, you put new idlers, whatever you need to do. And we had talked about that, but I'll have to
They'll
follow
get
up
you a
with Bob.
quote.
Yeah, they've gotten me one quote, but I thought we were moving forward on it, I'll follow up with Bob. And, okay, so anyway, those are, but down the road, as we look at the road department, we see the equipment that they have, we see the jobs that they're doing, a lot of these jobs, might be, maybe we'll have to look at it, but some of the things that we're doing here, we have certain machines that we're using to fulfill these missions, and they're kind of traditionally used machines, like rubber tired excavators that they're kind of multi-use machines, but there are also other machines out there in today's world that maybe could also fill a lot of these roles and might be able to do it more efficiently, just with skid steers and that sort of thing, kind of tooled down versions that are easier to move around, and it's not such a major deal. We have two Cat rubber tired excavators, and two is good. you know, I mean, we need them, but do we need them, do we need two long-term? I don't know. Probably one of them, I think there's still, we had talked about getting the, you know, the, turntable
Yes,
was leaking. Has that been hauled up? Do we know?
yes, it has.
So it's in process.
Yes, and it sounds like it's been repaired and it's being put back together.
Okay, perfect. So, and in a situation like that, that's a good machine. It doesn't have, it's got relatively low hours, and it'll keep running as long as it's taken care of. So, the last time they sent it up to get, or they, yeah, you sent it up to get fixed, and they fixed something else on it. Anyway, those are, but those are, just as we go forward down the road, I mean, as we're looking at what the core mission is, we can think about that. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. I'm just saying that we can kind of imagine maybe other ways to get what we need to get done. Okay, so let's see, we talked about, storm in January. Tell us a little bit about, well, the machines that you use for that. That's, you know, storm, just give us a quick overview.
With the snowstorm, that would.
Yeah, well, with any of them, it seems, I mean, that's why you need, we're getting new, 1-tons to replace the ones with the rock blades on them. That would be a thing that you use on a regular basis whenever there's a storm.
Valuable tools.
Right.
With the rock plow.
And so I think we're getting 3 of those.
Yes, we'd like to.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
one
the
of
one
them,
on-
with the de-icer.
And you use the de-icer on, where do you use that?
A lot of places anymore. On the river roads, South Bank Checo was really bad. Gardner Ridge,
South Bank Checo's always been icy.
Elk River,
yeah.
up there where the sun never hits, yeah.
Would imagine Winchuck River Road probably. There's
Yep.
good icy spots there. Yeah, okay. And so we have 1 de-icer, right?
Right.
And then with the new truck, the new big truck, that's got a sanding unit as well.
Yes.
And the sanding unit, do you use it all over the county? I think you do.
Yeah.
What did they just do to Highway 101 yesterday?
Well, they
Oh.
fog sealed it in Harbor.
No, right here, Pistol River. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, on the way home. They sprayed a bunch of black stuff on it. Is that fog seal?
Yeah,
Okay.
they fog sealed there also.
But they had a dump truck full of sand, it looked like. I didn't know if they were gonna dump sand on top of it.
Yeah, they choke it,
Okay,
help it cure.
okay.
So they worked
Didn't
with
do
that
like-
on
didn't-
it right away.
Didn't look like it did much, but. So we do that too?
Not, we don't like to,
Yeah.
but we have.
So what's it do?
It will help that fog seal cure faster. It'll actually give it just a little bit of a grip too.
Oh, really?
Using really fine sand, really fine.
Okay.
And so it just prolongs the life of the asphalt?
Yes, it
Okay.
does. The fog seal.
Okay.
It's amazing what a chip seal, I mean, because they chip sealed Carpenterville probably, I don't know, 6 years ago, something like that now. Can't remember exactly, but it's really holding up well, even with all the dump trucks on it. It's amazing. I mean, log trucks. I suppose that also is dependent on how well it gets applied and if the
Right.
weather conditions are all just right, and if people aren't driving their skid steers around on it when nobody's looking.
The crew has it down to a fine science.
Yeah.
It is really something. Okay, so let's see, then, so as far as storm cleanup, then, you know, the other thing that you see a lot of is, because they gotta clean up all the brush and all the limbs that are in the road. That's a labor-intensive process, equipment, flaggers, and, you know, just on Gardner Ridge, for example, they were up there, you know, just all kinds of stuff. And then the issue with that is disposing of that stuff and getting it in a place where it can be burned later or otherwise, you know, taken by somebody. Mostly people don't want it, but I mean, right now you've got a few. They're looking for more places to store to put, and because also, as I understand it, when you clean this stuff up, it's sort of they treat it as environmental waste, right? You can't.
Ditch cleanings.
It is cleaned. Okay.
So when you're mucking ditches, you gotta haul that off. When you're road clearing, you can just throw that off to the side of the road.
Depends
No.
on what it is,
They could wind up back in the road.
and
Well,
where you're at.
Haul it off.
Yeah. Okay.
You can do like ODOT and just not do anything, like top of Cape Furlough, just leave it. Maybe it'll be gone next year. Who knows?
Well,
When our rubber tired excavators really earn their keep
right,
is during those storms.
Yep.
and then it runs up and down the road. Yeah, that's, so, and for example, I mean, right there, there's just a lot of, on Gardner Ridge, when I was driving back and forth with the cat being stuck, I was looking at the amount of material that needs to be moved on that one little section of road. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of time, and then figuring out, but it is complicated too, because if you do wait and you clean, and you end up cleaning ditches at the same time, then you would have to store it all. You know, I mean, it'd be, but when you say just like if you left it by the side of the road, there aren't a lot of places up there that you could do that, but it would be nice if there were, and you could encourage people to come up and cut it up for firewood. That'd be great. But easier said than done. Unless you happen to know that guy named Billy.
Yeah.
You know Billy?
Oh, yeah.
Billy Anderson.
Yeah, he'll come. All right, let's see. Okay, I think we already talked about mechanical culvert cleaning. Cold milling, that's another relatively new process. You got that machine this year. Had you done that previously?
We've had ODOT
Oh,
do it
okay.
for us. Yes.
And it looks like, I mean, the machine cost about $200,000, but it's easily moved. It's an efficient way to address that problem and it's probably quite a bit cheaper than hiring ODOT to do it. So I would think that's a good thing to keep focusing on. That's another machine though. I'd be more comfortable to see it parked inside all the time, you know,
We did get a quote to
for a cover.
well, for the one up north, and you could
The doors, you mean?
decide on which
Right.
ones down there you would like to have done. I imagine to be, what, 35, 36 each?
Right.
But that's,
Yeah, so, because the problem with a lot of, I mean, a lot of the equipment is, you know, the Hunter Creek is still relatively close to the ocean, and if stuff's left outside, that salt there gets it, and you can see it. I was like on that 924, you can see that there's rust, and that doesn't, you know, it just gets worse unless you're on it all the time, and even if you don't have doors on it, on those. It's just weird that those buildings are the way they are, because it seems like they ought to be deeper, you know?
Right.
If they'd just been built a little bit deeper, we would not be having a lot of the issues that we have. Because even if it's not covered, if it doesn't have a door, as long as you're keeping the rain off it, that's a step in the right direction. But a door would certainly be helpful.
we could, there are, I'm not sure what the sheriff has planned, but there's the 3 bays, the 3 bays that they have? That, the last we heard, they were gonna be building something up top. I
Yeah.
don't know if they were planning on taking those up there or not. But that
Are they
would give
gonna
us
build
some
something
additional-
new?
But are they gonna be housing the equipment, the snowcat and all that up there, or leaving it down where we're at? Cause we could free up 3.
Yeah. I don't know, it's a good question. I would imagine they'd be moving it up there. It seems like that would make sense. Because then they'll coordinate all their stuff in one place. So, and we haven't followed up with the sheriff on that, but I think he was looking at prices. He's got the spot, you know, so if we're ready to go forward on that, we'll do that. I'll follow up with John and ask him about that. All right, let's see. Maybe you could tell us about deep basing.
And that's when we're either deep basing ditches or shoulders that have eroded. That'll be with pit run and excavator.
So you dig it out and just,
Yeah, bench it and build the shoulders back up.
oh, okay,
Or ditches that have really eroded.
okay,
We can deep base them with clean pit run.
okay. And you buy that pit run. I didn't see, yeah, we don't have a lot out there. Okay. That makes sense. How much of that do you do every year?
Not a lot anymore. We've caught up on a lot of it.
So
over the years.
having them properly built then would
Right.
hold it up a lot,
Right.
okay?
We built a lot of shoulders in the past, I mean, completely built shoulders where there was none, and so
Yeah,
not doing so much of that.
so that's, I mean, that's a good example, that's, you know, that's, if you're being proactive in this line of work and you build it right, then you have a lot less problems. Like the Romans, they had a lot less problems. Okay, so let's see, I'm looking for something. Spring spray, maybe you can tell us about that.
We just finished.
Yes, that's when we spray with our spray truck, our truck mounted spray truck unit.
Which we're
And that's
trying to
when
get a
we
new
spray,
one.
we spray bare ground in the spring, and it's just from the back of the ditch to the edge of the pavement. So
Oh,
it's just
okay.
the shoulders and ditches.
And do you have like a mileage you do, or you just, how do you decide where to do it?
Well.
Start south and go north, or
Right.
start north and
we
go
would
south?
like to, yeah,
Yeah.
we'd
You
like
run
to
out of
get
spray?
every road, but there are roads that we do not spray. Some of them it's because there are so many no spray applications on that particular road. You can spray 100 feet of it, and it's not even worth spraying any of it.
Right.
So, there are places that people will maintain, and we don't need to spray.
Yeah,
They'll maintain all the way to the edge of the pavement, and so we don't need to touch those. But
Is there a way for the county to, if you say, I don't want you to spray, and I understand that, but then they have to take care, because we're gonna, does that make sense? So they have to, if they're not gonna, if we're not gonna spray, they have to take care of it to the edge of the road, like we would.
right,
but don't we have an agreement you can enter into with them? Yeah,
Right.
that's part
No
of the
spray.
application.
Is that a problem? Is that?
There's no bite in it though for those
No.
that don't keep it up.
It's
So they can put a sign up and not do anything?
and that happens.
So something needs to be,
so we could modify that.
some counties will charge, if we have to go in and we do it ourselves, then the county charges it.
Okay, so a good attorney could take care of that?
We can add a little bite.
Yeah.
And that's a good idea. Then if
Yeah.
you've contracted and said you're gonna do it, then if we have to show up, well, we get to charge premium. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
How many sprayers do we have?
One, it's one truck mounted sprayer.
It's in poor shape.
It's very bad.
Because the spray is fairly caustic to the metal, as I understand it. Is that what it was?
No, not really, but it's lived its life.
Oh, okay.
The computer is outdated, the GPS unit, and it's,
And we have had court cases where we had to prove how much you sprayed out. And once the computer's compromised, then,
Okay.
You have to prove how much you sprayed out?
well,
Environmentally.
we're trying to prove,
there was an
That's
incident
right.
in the county some years back with the helicopter
Mhm.
spraying,
Cedar Valley?
right. and
Yeah, I
we
happen
had
to have been an
report
attorney on that. Yeah, I have know a little something about it.
So
Yeah,
you
you
have to
had
have
to
your
go
ducks in a
for it.
row. And
Well, do we need to order a new one?
We have it
yes,
on our
and we've
list.
actually-
Okay, all right.
It's already spec'd out, and Ted has the specifications on that.
Yeah, that was that was an interesting thing because yeah, as long as when you're doing your spraying and you're in accordance with the permit, then you won't have a problem if you're following all the rules. But if you think, hey, nobody's gonna notice if I taking this shortcut across a bunch of hippies, they notice.
No, yeah, we don't wanna play that game.
No, that was a bad move.
We have full documentation of every day
Right.
and every hour they're out there.
And then and so like with the spray, so the spraying incident that you contracted out.
No, we
never
have.
had-
Oh, there's a city contracting
That
that.
was a private timber,
Yeah.
but it was,
No, I'm talking about the guy that got run over.
oh, that was.
Oh, that was striping.
Striping. Okay, I couldn't remember.
Marina Heights.
Yeah. Okay.
That was outside
contracted.
contract.
Yeah. That was a private timber owner who was using my client's property to base their stuff off without permission. And so everybody got sued. That was nice. Yeah.
I
Anyway.
guess we all think different because he thinks suing is nice. I when I hear suing, I don't think it's nice at all.
No, I didn't think it was nice. It was something that was easily avoidable.
Oh.
Okay, so then let's see. Let's talk about Agnes cleanup. What is that? Do you go up and clean everything up in Agnes? The messy people up there?
In the spring, those rock bluffs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We get a lot of rock buildup through the winter. And we'll go up there and open the road and keep the road clean. We'll make trips up there.
Like, yeah, that, like, from the bridge out to Old Agnes, is that would be one of those places I would take it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. On the old Agnes Road there, through Stillwater.
Mm-hmm.
That's a rocky, yeah.
And also on the Illihi side too.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta get the rocks off of
Oh,
there
flat,
more than
too.
once, don't you?
Oh, yes. Yeah, multiple times. So in the spring, we like to make a trek up there and clean all that up.
And is that just one truck or?
No, it's usually a couple trucks,
Okay.
grader, loader.
Oh, okay, so there's that much material, you gotta load it up and,
Different
oh, okay.
material, yeah.
Where do you take it?
There's usually landowners that
Oh, okay.
there.
Okay, then we talked about that, let's see. So grading, in May. Just grade, what do you mean grading what? Grading all,
That would be grading our gravel road.
just the gravel roads? And how much of that, how much, do you split that up too, or how do you determine what you're gonna grade?
We don't necessarily blade them all every year, but we try to take care of all the problem roads.
Yeah, okay.
We have 25 miles of gravel, so.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Now, you do the, I'm assuming, because they get washboardy, right? throughout
Right.
the winter. But you're doing that in May. Do you find that you get rain? Just like this year, we had late rains, right?
Right.
Would it negate your work if it continues to rain through May and half of June and begin washboarding back? I guess what I'm saying is it worth doing that in June as opposed to May, or we just
Well,
splitting hairs?
yeah, well, the reason we like to do it in May is because there is still moisture in the ground.
It's
and
easier
we
to
can
move.
work the
Yeah.
material.
Yeah. Okay.
Cause then you do you grade it and then you roll it, or do you,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bridge cleanup,
That's when we just clean the bridges from all the winter.
pick up all the stuff that's stuck on them,
It's, has the scuppers plugged and everything.
okay.
Do you
Um,
spray as well when you do the bridges? Do you spray? Like the 20 feet on each edge?
No.
Not at all. No.
Good answer. No, they don't spray anywhere near a waterway at any time, obviously, just look at them.
All right. That's a good plan. But brush cutting around all of them, sure.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Got
I mean, she might do a little spraying if you weren't watching her. You weren't watching her. But the other two, they're innocent. Okay, so let's see, spring cleanup, same, that's just roads or,
Yes. But that's a separate activity that was actually created in, I believe, 2015, 2016. And that's kind of an all-out force. That is grader, excavator. So we're cleaning up ditches, the banks, for any debris remaining from the winter,
mm-hmm.
and all in one whack. So
Okay, so it's kind of like, that's what ODOT just got done doing on Carpenterville. They started at one end and they moved, and they had a bunch of machines and they did the ditches, and they pulled all the limbs and stuff off the shoulders and so forth.
right.
Okay,
But you just do the whole county, just get on it and till you're done?
Everything that needed it.
Yep, gotcha.
How long does that, let's just say that spring cleaning, how long does that take?
Depending on how bad the winter was.
Yeah.
It could take quite some time.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine.
And what hadn't been cleaned up directly after the winter,
Right.
Sure.
then you just got random buildup, you know.
Yeah.
We're chasing priorities.
Culvert inspection and install, how do you work that out?
Well, culvert inspection will send people out to kind of inventory the culverts,
Mm-hmm.
which it's not necessarily done on an annual basis, but it was recently done. And then our culvert installation, that's to inspect for the quality of the pipe.
Right, right.
If there's any damage to it, it's going to need to be replaced, and then we grade it on a 1, 2, 3 scale.
Yeah. And we saw that in the stormwater stormwater management plan, whatever that was, storm drain plan.
Right.
And that's how that graded, that's how, I mean, they it was all inventoried by level of condition, I
Yes.
think, yeah. Okay, blade patching,
We're doing some of that right now, or we were this week.
that's cold mix or what?
No, that's hot mix.
Oh, okay,
And the only blade patching that we've completed so far are on our chip seal roads
oh, okay.
in Langlois, Flores Creek.
How much of that do you have scheduled for this year? That's what you were doing up there last week?
Yes. We have quite a bit left to go, but it's not like in the past, especially with that milling machine now. We won't need to put as much down as we have in the past.
Because you can make it smaller.
Right.
Okay, well, let's see, good. Money well spent, okay.
And Gary, we can't just build that back up with chip seal?
No,
Okay, it's too,
it's chip seal's a pavement preservation. So it just,
you know, the old days, they used to call that McAdam Road where you just oil and rock until you finally get asphalt.
right.
But that's what I was wondering.
But now you can just
Yeah,
grind a
that's-
hole and then you come in and put that stuff down and blade it over, okay?
Gotcha.
Keeps the weight off the road as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the price
well,
of
that's true.
asphalt's going through the roof, so.
Yes, it is. Okay, so then chip seal prep.
Which is also what we are doing right now, and that's, we had some dig outs to do, some bad spots in the road.
So essentially, it's almost like the blade patching. I mean, you gotta,
Well, there could be dig outs involved
okay,
when we're doing our actual prep. So, which we just did a bunch of dig outs up there.
okay.
We had some serious log truck traffic on that road this year, and it really took a beating.
On Flores Creek, or Langways Mountain?
Did you put like a toll or something on the roads to say, you know, you're gonna use it? I mean, right now we get
your facility
ODOT,
permit.
yeah, our over-dimension people are calling. We know what trucks are going up there. Can't they somehow figure out a
Tie it
way?
together.
Yeah, to
Well,
say,
you know,
hey,
it's
you're-
interesting on private ground, you know, if South Coast has ground on the other side of me, they gotta pay me. You know, I mean, we have, those arrangements where they'll be contributing, if they're not doing the road maintenance themselves, they'll contribute, they have to pay normally you'll put in a thing like $5 a load or something, or you know, or per, might be a per ton or per 1,000, little charge, and it adds up pretty fast.
Well, these are
um,
some pretty heavy-duty, I mean, what, feller bunchers and, name the,
It's
Can they
huge.
be tied to the facility permits?
What was that?
They'll be tied to the facility permits.
Right, if they need one for a new access or something that they're
Oh,
logging.
for only
Right.
new though?
Oh, okay. Well, it might be something to do a little research into, because those, you know, I mean, there's a specific group of people that are really benefited by the use of those roads.
yeah.
And when you're bringing 1 million feet of timber out across there, it's not unreasonable that you might pay a little, that you're not just asking the average taxpayer to chip in, so that's definitely something we should, I don't know what other counties do. I'd be happy to do a little research into that and see what we do, because, I mean, as you can see, just the cost of one bridge is very high, but if you don't have that bridge, you might as well not own that property back there. And it's not necessarily the county's responsibility to, you know, make sure that you have access for your commercial timber operation or whatever it is you have. So,
But
something to
this
think
wasn't
about.
all the log trucks. I mean, it wasn't just on them. I mean, the road, it was due
Yeah,
for a service.
Okay.
There's not much base.
but there's not much harder on roads than log trucks. I mean, when they're running in the winter and they're just, I mean, you can see when we have a big job on Carpenterville Road, man, that road ages in a year. It's amazing how much that weight, what that does to everything. It really is amazing. But I think I will look into that. That's interesting. Okay, so I think, let me look. Sweep for striping, that's just running the sweeper, is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so then we got fall spray, and that's essentially like the springs.
Different
And
chemicals,
it-
right?
Yeah, different herbicides and we spray the cut banks and such in the fall.
Oh, okay.
We're only going after broadleaf.
Oh, okay. All right. And so I've read certain places, you know, so depending on the county, they'll have things like a weed board where they, you know, where it's like a separate entity than besides the road department that decides what spraying is going to be done. You familiar with that?
Noxious.
The Curry Watershed has a weed board.
Oh, really?
They can go on private properties and such.
Oh, okay.
They attack noxious weeds.
I see. Okay. That's what I just wondered about that. And let's see. So then we got ditching. Tell us a little bit about that over here in September.
Yeah, that's just our normal maintenance, grader ditching, pulling the ditches and clearing the ditches for free flow of
And-
debris.
And you just do it where it needs it, or you go spot it in
We like to
advance?
hit the whole county.
Yeah.
I mean, drainage here is key,
Yeah.
as everybody knows. I mean, it rains here. So that is our number one priority.
Gary, do you still have that one machine? It was a dump truck with that arm on it that,
No.
okay.
that was
You ever see that? Remember that, Ted?
Yeah.
It would do the ditch and put it in the back and then you could go dump, but it just wore out or,
It was a maintenance nightmare.
oh, okay. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of moving
It was
pieces.
a nice idea, but it just didn't work. Okay.
Okay, let's see. I missed one thing back here in August, drainage. What specifically are we doing?
That could be excavator ditching
Oh, okay.
in areas where we can't use the blade.
Okay, all right. Okay, and then in September, we got crack seal. How much of that do you do every year? And you got the machines to do it? What do
We
you-
do have a crack seal machine. We don't use it a whole lot.
Oh, okay. Why not?
Well,
One,
right, it
Takes too many.
it's pretty manpower intensive.
So how do you do the crack seal now?
If we do it, we use the crack seal machine.
Oh, okay.
That's what
How many?
Right, yeah,
how many-
so it takes, probably 5 people. We have to have 1 people on a torch, 1 people actually on the wand,
Mm-hmm.
2 flaggers, and a person in the truck,
Okay.
so.
Well, when you try to tell the average person about how much time it actually takes to fix a pothole, it takes one pothole, right? You know, it takes a lot. And depending on the time of the year, it can take a lot more and be a complete waste of time. So, yeah. All right, well, we try to stay away from the crack ceiling, I get that. Okay, then, traffic counts, you got a couple of those going right now, don't you?
No, we don't, not at the moment.
I thought we were doing one up by, did you finish? Oh, no, that's a traffic study. He's trying to get a traffic study up for, by Jerry's Flat,
Yes.
and then also down at the Lower Arbor Road. What do we got going, what's that?
That must be for the, I don't know anything about that going on right now, but the only thing I can figure is that it must be for that project,
Oh, okay,
ramp project up there.
Can somebody else put a
Or-
cord
or
across the,
maybe. But nobody's talked to me about it.
can somebody else put those counters across our,
They can.
They can?
But, normally we'd be notified.
here? Okay.
Haven't heard anything about them.
okay. November, you got burning, you burn on specific sites, and you got the equipment to do that, you got you got that, what's the thing called that don't you have a,
Excavator?
no, it's like a, cause some sort of a thing that you surround the burn area with, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
Okay,
no, we don't have that.
must be thinking of something else. Oh, I'm thinking of something else, sorry. Okay, and so you just burn because we've got several sites, but do you burn on other people's ground where we've been storing stuff, or?
But we have, yes, South Coast allows us to burn on one site. We have a shared site with ODOT out at Edson Creek.
Okay,
That, they allow us to burn out there. That's the only thing we can dump in there.
okay,
Do we have anything up north?
Elk
Of course,
River?
we burn at our shop.
And Elk River, don't you still burn on that big turnout on Elk River? No?
We did.
Yeah,
To go at the 1 mile.
yeah.
Yes.
okay, so the only other thing that I really see here is, storm patrol, and that's the thing, how do you do that?
Well, that'll be, when we're having serious storms at the current time, we will send people out in the 1-tons and pickups and chase plug pipes and such.
Run roads.
And they'll hit all the roads in the county.
That's good. I have to do that on my place, and I never have anybody but me to do it. But it's best to do it right in the middle of a storm.
So is that pretty much the list then?
I would say, this would be essentially the list of the basic
You can
activities.
pick up dead animals too. And
And the
dispose of
easement.
it. And the easements.
So if you drag it, the easement, you can take that.
What's
What was
name?
that?
Don't say that out
I
loud.
can't say that.
You can tell me later.
So I have a couple questions. The first topic is engineering. So you may not be able to answer this right now, but if you can, maybe you could send us an email that with the answer. But do you know, or can you tell me, in the past 4 years, what we've spent on engineering?
1.3 million for one particular vendor. I looked today.
1.3? And you said that was with one vendor?
One vendor,
Who was that with?
Dyer.
And is there other, have we spent more?
Chris, yeah,
El's a geologist.
yeah,
Little bit.
geologist.
L's, and
I
then,
don't know how much for.
and also I think even like on the Morrill Bridge, I think we work with a couple other engineering firms that are specialists in some of that.
But they'll charge,
Does it all go through Dyer? Okay.
Dyer subcontracted them.
So when we do, so 1.3, and then maybe some additional money with other vendors. When we have a need for engineering, tell me how that works. What's the process?
Originally, I went through what is that,
request for.
RFP.
RFP, and we looked that up today, and that is contingent to whenever you want to dismiss them. There's no ending date. But that's put out for bid, and then it's decided on you usually put out for at least 3, but I don't know how many were returned on it.
What do you
And
mean?
then you have to put it out for bid so different engineering
Okay,
firms can apply for that. And,
You can either do an
designated
engineer of
application.
record, you can do an RFQ, request for qualifications, and that could be, then you could have an engineer of record.
Only
But-
for a year. You gotta do it every year.
Right, but also, even if you do have an engineer of record, that person's basically like the overarching manager. That doesn't mean that's who you're gonna have do the engineering for a particular project. Because, for example, like, you know, county's got roads, they got culverts, they got bridges. Those are all radically different things. And so you'd wanna, you would, like, for example, when we had the tsunami, we had a bunch of different stuff to do. But we had one engineer of record, but that engineer of record was just basically the oversight project manager for the whole big project. But we hired, you know, like.
Specific.
Well, you gotta hire geotech if you're doing something that is involved in, you know, like if you're doing tiebacks or, you know, or like the North Bank slide,
Mhm.
you'd need a geotech.
That's why Chris
That's it.
came,
Or
right?
even bridges, you're gonna need a
Your
geo.
bridges, there are only a few companies in the state that are qualified to do that, so you go out and get those bids. But normally, you know, when you put this stuff out, and that's how you end up getting a good, there's, the whole idea of bidding is so that you end up with efficiencies and savings. And you know, one of the things that you can do, depending on how you set the bid up, but for example, you can put a job out for bid, and you can make it a hybrid where you hire a contractor, but the contractor agrees to work with the engineer to achieve cost savings. And that's a different approach. That's a thing that's relatively new in Oregon, but it's been used pretty effectively. So I can't remember the name of that right now, but and there are different approaches to each one of these things. Another thing that you can do is, and it just kind of depends on the scope and nature of whatever project you have. You might want to hire an owner's representative in the form of an engineering firm, or they just have standalone people that'll do that, and they'll come in and they'll oversee the engineer and the contractor. And it depends on how big your deal is, but if it's big enough, trust me, those people can save you a lot of money, because, you know, it's not, a lot of people are just in this stuff for the money. You may have noticed. So you kind of got to watch them. But it depends on how, it really depends on what we want to do and how we want to approach it. And there's no hard and fast way that we have to, except for that we do have to go out and follow the procurement rules, which essentially you need to be able to put each project before the public and let them bid on, before contractors and engineers, and let them bid on it to the extent that you can.
all right. Next question is on new equipment. Can you tell me in the past 4 years what we've spent on new equipment?
Maybe
Boy.
last year.
Not off,
Offhand, but
A bunch.
yeah, I couldn't tell you right now. We'd have to go.
Yeah,
look it
give-
up,
You can
but,
run a report.
Yep.
Yeah, could you run a report and then just email us that info? And
So
then-
this fiscal year,
Last 4
Last
years.
four.
I do have a total of the equipment, 2023. One piece which hasn't arrived yet, which is the dump truck and sander. But that was 1.031 million.
Not just for the dump truck, but for
That's what everything they
2023.
bought in
That's-
2023.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's
Remember,
2023, right?
Yeah, 20.
So it's for 6 months.
all this stuff was basically
22,
ordered.
23, so this
Oh,
fiscal.
okay, I got this fiscal year, okay.
Yes.
So the water truck, the two full trailers, low bed tractor, low bed trailer, and the one that hasn't arrived yet, we included that. Dump
Right.
truck with
Okay.
plow.
Okay, and then, so I'm just curious on the 4-year window, and you can email that to us when you can. And then the next question I have is, do we currently have equipment that we have ordered, that we have not paid for, that's pending?
Just the one, just the dump truck.
How much is that?
That is $355,909.
Dump truck and sanding.
Dump truck, sander, and plow.
Wow.
Automatic?
Yes. There is one other piece to, see the skid steer, I don't know. That may have,
2324.
the skid steer itself, I believe that arrived
2022.
2022 also, late 2022.
That'll be part of that.
But we do have a felling trailer for that skid steer that's yet to arrive, and it won't arrive until December is what we're hearing. And that was ordered in August of,
It's sitting on a trailer now, isn't it?
yeah.
So,
Backhoe trailer, yes.
backhoe trailer, okay. So theoretically, we could get away without the trailer. If we want, what's the price on that trailer?
You have it on your notes.
That is, 28,000.
How often do you use both of those at the same time? That's the question, right? Of whether you can have one trailer or you need two.
Right. What I understand, this trailer is set up for that particular machine and the apparatuses. It also has a bucket and a broom, of course a bucket. It has
The skid
self-contained
steer does.
broom
Yeah.
on it. Right.
And, before we had the vac truck, what did we do? What were we using before we had the vac
We
truck?
had trailer mounted units. Were just, had lived their life. They were old, broke down, and they were really expensive to repair. A trailer mounted vac unit and a trailer mounted jet rotor.
So theoretically, also, I would assume that you could rent a vac truck if you needed it. I see them around. Brookings has one. ODOT has one. Gold Beach has one. So, for something that's not used very often, that's kind of what we want to look at. Is we want to look at the equipment,
Right.
and we want to see what's making sense. For example, that skid steer with the grinder, that saves money in a lot of different ways. I think that's a thing that you should definitely think about. But what you really want to look at is if you got a piece of iron that's sitting there most of the year and it's not moving, then you need to have a really good reason to have it around, because it's just going down in value every year. If it's an old D6 that's already been depreciated out, you got nothing to lose by keeping it.
Yep.
Keep it. But if you have stuff that, especially newer equipment, it's not made with the same metal that old D6 is, it's not going to be here forever. We have trucks. The trucks are the stuff that they've bought, like those trailers. All that stuff is part of what they use for their chip sealing, which is a fundamental part of what we do. So, but I think you look, there's also stuff sitting out in the yard that we talked about the other day, the precast concrete drains with grates and so forth on them. Those aren't things that are naturally used in this country with the amount of rain we get. We could think about getting rid of those. What we should try to do is get our money out of things that aren't doing us, that aren't.
Well, and to your point, here's what I'm thinking, and you have way more knowledge about the context and scope of both equipment and materials that the road department has, much more so than I, which is good to have you. But can we get an inventory of everything and then have you look at
Yeah,
that?
we can go through it all,
And,
yeah.
kind of take a closer look of, at what's critical to the needs.
What's
that we have
critical and how
what's
much,
not.
and if there's a way that we could do it, on, for example, like you guys were telling me about the what's the shoulder machine that you
Right,
borrow from
right.
Coos Bay, right? So that's the thing we don't need, and when we need it, we can borrow it. We don't need it very often, and they don't need it very often.
But they got one.
They got one, But Tidewater was trying to buy that from us a few weeks ago, cause they know it doesn't get used much, so they thought, let's buy it. Well, we don't own it.
It's not ours, okay.
And I know we've got a lot of rock out there, we've got a lot of, you know, we've got material out there, just, kind of look at that, look at
Yeah, I think that if the stuff that
the
we can,
scope of everything.
the stuff that's sitting out there, if we can turn it into money, and also, and I don't know, I'm new at this, so regarding the road funds, does the treasurer invest that money?
I don't think it,
GIP is all.
I don't think it can be, I think
It-
there are parameters
Yeah.
around how it can be invested.
Okay.
But it
Well,
can
even
be,
so, but there's, I mean, there are places that you can invest it within the state of Oregon that have some pretty great returns, so we might wanna really look at that. Because if you got $26 million sitting there and you put it in the right place, you're feeling pretty good about it for the next year. And, so that's the thing that we could definitely look at.
I know when Dan Crumley was here, we helped the treasurer at that time put him into CDs actually paid money. And we were building a rotation just before the bottom fell out. We were almost complete. So they'd roll over some every month.
So we can look at that, we can see where we can invest it and think about that, cause that'd be,
And
that'd be,
I wanna say there was a $900,000 return on what we have this year, because the interest rates had changed, and I wanna say it was around just under $1 million. So, but I know there's.
but it's
parameters.
conservative.
Yeah, and I know
Very
there's
conservative.
parameters about, and I don't wanna
Yep.
speculate on what they are, but I do know that we did see almost $1 million return on, however it's distributed now.
well, you wanna be careful, I'm just saying that, like, for example, when I was on the library board, we were able to put it into this one state-sponsored fund that was, you had to commit it for a certain amount of time, so we didn't put all of it in there, but we put some of it in there, and it really, and especially, this is right when the interest rates were just like an insult, but we got, I mean, it makes a difference.
Got a return anyhow.
Yeah, and now, when interest rates are, if you make hay while the sun shines, then that's pretty good. And then you end up, because our goal here is to grow the road funds. That's, my thought is to make this as efficient as we can do it, figure out what we need, what we don't need, figure out exactly how many people we need, and who's
Critical to.
who's critical, and is everybody cross-trained, and are they all working together well? And if they are, then that's great, and we can figure out how they can each do, these are a lot of tasks to be handled by one group of people. That's a lot of specific skills, especially to be able to I mean, just I hate to say it, but I noticed some of those people aren't spring chickens out there.
Hey, wait a minute.
They're looking at us.
So they might not be working for the rest of recorded history. So, and it is a challenge, as you know, to train new people in these. That's a lot of skills you just described. There aren't that many people that you could ask those questions to, and he was making up some of that, but
He's
But
been
he
doing it
had-
a long time.
he had an answer for everything, and it made sense. And
Yeah.
there aren't that many people that can do that. And
Especially
so-
and he's no spring chicken, so that's the kicker. Give me 5 spring chickens instead of 10, or not spring chickens instead
I
of
want the
spring
whole
chicken.
rooster. The whole
Well-
rooster's the one that keeps showing up.
If you look around, there's the old spring, not the spring chickens are the ones that are doing the majority of the work. The
They
old
have that knowledge that.
Yeah,
he requests.
yeah. So Gary, I got a question real quick. So, the back truck is obviously, we're beating that horse to death, but how many times how much do we use it? I mean, when you look at your annual work plan, how much is that being used? And I know it's new.
Well, we can look back and do a report on that. and
Okay.
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
That'd be great.
awesome.
that's what we're looking for.
do you calculate that by hours? Is that how?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all
that'd be,
cost accounting. so
that'd be
it's
perfect.
right in-
And if you could describe the job that it's being used on, so that we can get an idea of, and also when you're doing it, if you could talk about how many people are involved in that particular, yeah, so we can get an idea what the per hour cost of that is for what we're getting out of it.
That report will show
Right.
all that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And I'm kind of a weirdo. If you need somebody to go in a culvert, you know, I'll.
He's super skinny, that's what you want.
I'm not super skinny, but yeah, I got put the wetsuit on, the boots, and go in there anyway.
My
Yeah.
dad used to do to my
Yeah.
sister's boyfriends. Said, "Oh, really? See that culvert? And climb through it."
That is weird.
And then he.
That is weird, but
That is,
Huh?
And then he plugged it off.
Well, the one I'm thinking of, it was on Carpenterville, and it was one of those old concrete culverts from the 30s. He shouldn't have done it, because I mean, it was like 130 feet all the way through, and it was downhill with a slope. And he put him in from the top, and the poor kid was scared to death by the time he crawled out. I don't think we ever saw him again. But my dad got a new line from his TV antenna. That's all he cared about. Anyway, well, I think, okay, that got us a lot of information. I think we've got another meeting starting here shortly, right?
we do.
Brad and I do.
And I do at 3:30.
Oh, okay,
At 3:30?
Yeah.
1 minute. So Brad's right on time because he only gets to meetings 1 minute before they start. So. You guys got any questions? These two are gonna leave, but Jay and I can answer questions.
Except I wouldn't believe everything they say.
Well, that was really helpful, guys.
Yeah.
And if you can email that other stuff, that'll be.
Not yet. We will be.
Is that bud?
If you have any questions, you can always stop by and.
Yep. Okay.
Stop by.
Email
You're gonna
or-
be there. You're gonna be up on Langwood
I-
Mountain
I
or something.
will be.
Stop by.
We
Give
can
me
kick
a
him
break.
out as much
Soon
as
I
we
will
can.
be.
Exactly.
I'll
He's like a kid. He'll come back for dinner.
Well, thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Over there.